If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, all in one place. Download for free the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.FM. Enjoy. Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Running Educator. My name is Mike Cummings and I'm your host. Today I want to talk a little bit about some housekeeping issues and items. Wanted to apologize for the 4-month hiatus that I took, but I think some people need to always kind of step back and reflect on their why of what they're doing things for. And for me, I just got caught up into a lot of things with running, school, and obviously with the podcast. And here I am refreshed and ready to go. But I also wanted to let you know that the podcast will be dropping at the end of the month. Every Monday, you will get something new, get something fresh, get something more focused on ourselves and helping each other and, making you the most authentic and empowered person that you can be. So I hope you enjoy that. And I hope you give me a moment or two to kind of transition things here, coming back from what I was doing. But I also would like to hear from you all. You can always check us out at therunningeducator.com, on Twitter at therunningeducator, or Instagram. I always like to hear what people think, get their thoughts. You can also check me out at my email, which is michaelpcummings@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to get some interaction with the audience and kind of my focus going forward to this year. So switching gears to fear setting, this is the episode that I want to talk about, the goal setting, which is always very ironic to me that people at the end of the year of 2021 are restarting and making goals for themselves, and some of them are audacious to where they can't even complete them, which I think is also funny too, because the second Friday of January is known as National Quitters Day for all those people that set goals and then never follow through with them. And I've just never really understood that. I just always kind of thought in changing my mindset to where I want this to make a lifestyle change, not just a temporary change. So hopefully with this fear setting that I'm going to be talking about, and a 3-step exercise to kind of define your fears and explore things that you can do or not want to do, to hopefully give you some encouragement and some advice on how to overcome them. I feel that when you understand your fears, difficult choices are a little bit easier to make. And I also feel, and I've known and experienced firsthand, that difficult choices lead to peace and happiness. So I'm hoping you enjoy the episode of Fear Setting, and here we go. To give you a little bit of the history of fear setting, which was developed by Tim Ferriss as the most valuable exercise anyone could do every month. And he presented it in his famous TED Talk, which I highly recommended, and it is in the link bio so you can see it firsthand, which with that TED Talk's about 5 million views. Pretty crazy. But I'm going to take you through the process step by step, give you a little bit of what I've kind of faced this past last year and what I'm looking forward to doing this year, and go through each step with you. And then hopefully at the end of it, you can try it for yourself. So the process goes to focusing on one of the fears and then how you can define it, how you can prevent it, and how you can repair it. Fear setting, again, can help you make such hard decisions, such as, should I take this job for a year? Running an ultra, snorkeling, getting on an airplane. For those people dealing with a lot of everyday anxieties, these are some of my examples that I have, faced throughout my years. And the best thing I can tell you about when you're defining what really scares the living crap out of you, and then you think about like what the worst things that could happen to you, it really helps you learn more about yourself. It helps you put yourself out there to be a little bit more vulnerable. And then just for example, taking a job for 1 year, and that's kind of currently where I'm at. The friendships, the people I've met, the different approach I have as far as going into my position has totally changed my mindset to what I was doing previously. Going snorkeling, something that's very anxiety for me, but then it really helped me break down that anxiety of, why I got here to where I'm at. But the beauty of it all is if you go back to what's the worst that could happen, obviously, yeah, you might die, but I don't think that's, that's the catastrophic mind thinking. But it helps you really react and how to react to situations. Another something that I figured out is, getting on an airplane. I can only control what I can control. There are people that are pilots, trained professionals to do this, and doing that puts me at ease, and I'm giving everything that I can trust that these people are going to do the right things for everybody that's on board, as well as everybody that is, a pilot. So it's just really interesting that when you go through this fear setting process and you define what is the worst thing that can happen to you, it really unleashes the deepest fears, and then it really helps you understand them even more so, and getting a better grasp of who you are and that mental toughness that I think we're all trying to really, find, and, to make peace in our lives and to live our lives to the fullest. So yes, that is the step one. Define what is the worst thing that can happen to you, and define how you can get through those things with calculated risk. On to the second process of fear setting is prevention. So how can I prevent these things from happening? How can I prevent this fear from setting in? And how do you come to terms with what you're about to do? My example of this would be when I ran, or chose to not run, my ultra at Beaverhead in Salmon, Idaho. This was all about control. I think sometimes we try to do amazing things and difficult things, but I think we have to look back at why we do these things. Now, I drove 4 hours, stayed overnight in my car, and got to the starting line and said, why the hell am I doing this? And not really taking inventory on that I was still depleted from the River of No Return, still kind of banged up from Double Roby and the 4x48, and then just as I unfolded that and that prevention, I wasn't taking care of myself. That was the things that I can do to help myself, preventing the fear and preventing injuries, preventing all those things that I didn't go through to really come to terms to be able to do this to the best of my ability. And so, I wasn't ready mentally. I wasn't ready physically. Emotionally and spiritually, I was totally in tune with the mountains. I was totally in tune with the goal of, I'm going to set out and do this. But, I know that now, going back to it, that unless all my tanks are completely filled, that's my preventative measures. I can do the unimaginable. I can do impossible things that people look at me and say, "You're crazy." Well, that's what I'm going to do. And so one of the things that I'm going to try to do this year is ride 100 miles in a day in my bike, and see what I can do and how I can do that. And, talking about those preventative measures and little goals and sets that you can go along the way to help me achieve that goal is again going to be those preventative measures of what I can do. So, again, how can I prevent them from happening? What is them? What are we looking to prevent? And those are when you look into the deeper issues of goal setting and then even fear setting, will really help you understand your why and what you're about to do. Repair. This is the last process of the fear setting, and what you have to think about is, what if the worst thing that you could think of did happen, how it can impact you, and then how do you minimize that impact? For me, that's just simple reflective practicing of how do I get better, because that's my end goal. And I always set myself up for both failure and success, because the fear setting allows failure as your teacher. It guides you to what you can do better the next time. Failure does not define who you are and what you're about. It does help you in future endeavors that helps you react to those failures and how you react to those failures. So those are the things that I'm really looking forward to. And, simply saying, when I, went snorkeling and being able to go underwater really scares me, because I had a pretty terrific, horrific experience while swimming when I was young. And so I've never really been a big fan of water or swimming for that matter. But again, if you can do something that allows you to do things that you wouldn't ever do, and then just that one chance to see something different is very powerful. Like I said, I tried to go snorkeling in Kona, and I actually did go, snorkeling in Kona, but it took me like an hour just to get comfortable, just to get through everything and whatnot. But the payout is so much more than all the other what ifs or what doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So it's there's a lot of things you can do to help repair not only yourself and how you react, but can repair damages that have happened when you were a child, or when you were a teenager, or when you were even a young adult. Just think of the end goal of how I can get better by putting my fears out there. Well, I hope you have enjoyed the stories of my fear setting from the last year, and I hope this gives you some ideas on how you can set your fear setting up. Like I said, this takes about 30 to 45 minutes. It's really beneficial because it's a step-by-step process. And again, you kind of name it, you define the potential worst-case scenarios that might happen, right? And you got to go to preventions, and for me, that preventative measures is aligning with who I am and what I'm all about. Going to repair, and then not only that, when you think about it, again, at the end, the benefits, if you were to face this fear, what are the benefits of the attempt or the partial successes? That's the other thing I think a lot of people forget. I didn't finish this, but I going back to my Beaverhead experience, like I didn't even run the race, but I learned so much more about myself as a person and how strong I am and what I need to do to be successful and going forward. So I think there's a lot of things that you can take away from that. And then, at the end of it, look ahead and what are the costs of staying in that current situation. I look at that as like being spiritual. If you're going to pray for somebody, or if you're going to do something for somebody kind, think about the kindness that you could do, or being in that current situation that you are in and not being kind. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you can think about on those two ending factors. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed episode 37 of Fear Setting, and I'd love to hear your experiences and practices of what you have accomplished or challenged yourself with. And until next time, I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope everybody keeps on running and keeps on learning.